Hello and welcome back to the Medium Appraiser channel. Today we're going to be reviewing a different medium. We're going to be going the graphic novel route today. Alright, and the name of the graphic novel we're going to be reviewing is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Now this graphic novel is a part of a greater trilogy called Millennium, which is based off of the novel of the same name. So, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Let's talk about the entire trilogy case for a second. It's published by Hard Case Crime, and if you get the version that I got, it's going to come in a hard case box, slim box, with the 3 novels inside, and they will be paperback on the inside. And they've got some great illustrations on the front and on the back, as well as inside, of course. The first one that I read has 2 chapters. I have not finished the second 2 yet, so we don't know how many chapters are in those. But I would assume that it's going to be 2 chapters in those as well. But hey, could be different. I chose the paperback version. I'm pretty sure you can get the 3 actual graphic novels as well as the case in hardcover. I only got the case because I didn't want to spend that much money on this trilogy because I honestly hadn't been exposed to the series that much. I didn't want to waste any money if I didn't like it. At this point, I had only seen the first film, which is what inspired me to even get this. The first film that was based off of the novel, starring Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara. I watched that film when I was a high schooler, and I thought it was incredible. The plot was hard to follow at some times because I was still young and not very experienced in following complicated plot lines. But anyway, yeah, so at this point I had not seen The Girl Caught in the Spider's Web, which I have seen at this point now. So I was up in the air whether or not I would actually like this. So let's get into the actual story. If you have seen the movie starring Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, there will be almost nothing new in this novel. Now, I haven't seen it in a long time, so there was a moment at the end that really shocked me, but I'm not sure if it happened in the movie or if it did not. I don't remember it happening. And I would like to think that I would because it was very interesting and I liked it. But as I stated, if you've already seen the movie, nothing really new other than that twist at the end. Not really a twist, but exciting moment at the end is in this story. I'm going to talk about the illustration now because, like I said, I don't have much to say about the story other than positive things. So the illustrations in here are pretty good. It's not something that I've never seen before, but it definitely isn't subpar. Some of the character face models could do with a little bit of work on some pages, but there's some really good artwork in here, and overall I would give it an A on artwork. There are also some very gruesome, disturbing images in this graphic novel. As I stated over and over before, if you've already seen the film, you know that it's a dark, gritty, mature film. There's a lot of sexual dynamics going on, a lot of violence going on, and basically a lot of cruelty going on in the movie. So that is not lost in the graphic novel. It is still here, if not a little bit more in the graphic novel than it was shown in the movie. The movie, I believe it was just a few scenes of grotesque cruelty and just all around nastiness. Whereas in the graphic novel, it's a lot more than a few scenes. You'll see that. And like I said, the sexual content is pretty high. So this is not a graphic novel for, I would say, a teenager. I would say you should probably be 21 to read this graphic novel if you're trying to be completely responsible. The story, as I stated, from the movie is the same way in this graphic novel. It's a lot easier to follow as an adult, but it is still kind of all over the place to start. It doesn't really mesh until you're sort of in to the story. I won't say like halfway in. It's before that where you can put all the pieces together pretty much before the halfway point. Not as in solve the crime, but as in have all the cogs of the story working together cohesively where you understand where it's going. So you could even begin to attempt to understand the crime. I would say if you're really trying hard, you can have a good understanding and a good grip on what's going on a little bit before halfway into the story. If you're not paying attention, you're not going to know what's going on 100% until halfway through the story. You're just not. It's too much back and forth and over the place, and like too many things going on at the same time. The story is more intriguing than the characters here. They are kind of cliche. You've got a reporter who's a hotshot reporter, investigative journalist, and he's basically a playboy. Gets any woman that he looks at. Very cliche and very unrealistic. There's playboys out there, but we've got somebody who's sleeping with everyone who lays eyes on him. We cross over into extreme fantasy zone. And then you have the second main character, Lisbeth, the other investigative journalist, freelancer type. And she's just another cliche punk chick. And some of her comments are just very cheesy and over the top. And flowchart right on schedule. Almost like you could write the lines yourself. So, as I stated, the characters are really not the selling point. It's really the twist in the story and the complexity of it. Ironically, a couple of the more sadistic characters in the novel are actually way more interesting than the main characters. There's one male character. Well, I'm just going to put it like this. In this movie and in this graphic novel that we're talking about today, most of the males are bad. And, but there's one in particular, there are two in particular that are extremely sadistic in this graphic novel, and they just seem to be more interesting. Not because you want to be like them or emulate them in any way, but they have good writing, and the scenarios that they're in are shocking. I'm going to talk about the climax, and then I'm going to be done. The climax of the story, like I said, there's the climax, that's the broad climax, and then there's what happened towards the tail end of the climax that I don't remember if it happened in the movie or not. The normal climax is a clarification of all the things that have been going on in the background at once in the movie, and it's pretty satisfying to see. I remember seeing it for the first time in the film, and I just said in the movie. I meant the graphic novel, but it's the same thing. The movie and the graphic novel. The climax is very satisfying when it's pulled off. In the graphic novel, however, like I said, towards the tail end of the climax, there's a really intense scene where basically the villain does something that I don't remember if they did in the movie or not, and it was very very surreal and very realistic and just kind of shocking when it happened, and really cemented the depravity of this person and their fiendish nature to get away with what they wanted to do and accomplish. If that was in the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. I just don't remember it. But there's also a brief explanation of another side plot at the end, and it's sort of satisfying, but the main climax is the best climax. So all in all, it took me about a day and a half to read this graphic novel. Not an actual day, but just like one day I picked it up and I sat down and read it, and then another day I sat down and read it, and one day it took me pretty much all night, and the next day it took me a couple hours. So I would say maybe you could finish this book. I mean, you could finish it in any time. It's not that long. But if you're reading like a normal person and you have other things to do and going about your day, I would say it'd probably take you about 6 hours. And yeah, I'm going to highly recommend this graphic novel, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, by Hard Case Crime. Like I said, the illustration is pretty good. If you like the movie, you'll like the book. The story is the best part. The characters are forgettable, minus the bad ones. But you're here for the story, not the characters, really. Great artwork and great product overall. So that's my review of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. We will be doing the other two next. The next one is called The Girl Who Played with Fire, and the one after that is called The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest.